While your subconscious is a blessing that frees your mind from more important tasks in the here and now, it can become problematic when your operating system is outdated and much in need of an upgrade. Because it has settings for your default mode of thinking, feeling, and acting, it plays a big role in your vibration. So how can you tell if your operating system is outdated? I'm going to share 5 indicators that you can use to determine if you are in need of an upgrade. Welcome to the Abundance Zone, offering you tips and tools for supercharging your ability to attract more of what you desire into your life. Learn how to step into the Abundance Zone and stay there more consistently and watch your life transform. Welcome to the 22nd episode of the Abundance Zone. I'm Dr. Eve DeLunas. Just as the operating system is the most important software in your computer, the operating system in your subconscious is central to everything about you and your life. Because it has settings for your default mode of thinking, feeling, and acting, it plays a big role in your vibration. Remember, when your vibration is high, it puts you in the abundance zone, so you're more likely to attract what you desire easily. The operating system within your subconscious directs much of your automatic behavior. Some say as much as 97%. This includes everything from making certain that you breathe and adjusting your body temperature to controlling your automatic thoughts and behaviors like using a keypad or driving your car. While your subconscious is a blessing that frees your mind from more important tasks in the here and now, it can become problematic when your operating system is outdated and much in need of an upgrade. Your personal software system was installed in your subconscious by the age of 6 and derived from what you experienced, heard, and observed as a very young child. On the basis of how you were treated, what you were told, and how others around you behaved, you made decisions, very important decisions, about who you are, what you can expect from other people and life itself, and what you must do to survive. Many of these are faulty as they are based on the limited perspective of a 2, 3, or 4-year-old. Once these decisions were programmed in your operating system in your subconscious, they began to color your perceptions, shape your expectations, and direct your behavior to a great extent, all outside of your conscious awareness. And they are still doing that today unless you make a conscious decision to change them and take the actions necessary to do so. So how can you tell if your operating system is outdated? I'm going to share 5 indicators that you can use to determine if you are in need of an upgrade. Before I do so, I want to remind you to sign up for the Abundance Zone monthly newsletter at theabundancezone.net. Doing so will give you the opportunity to obtain free guided meditations, to attend free question and answer sessions that I hold in the future that will be live, and to learn a lot more about how to stay in your abundance zone and attract more of what you desire into your life. So let's move on and talk about those 5 key indicators. The first of these is that you find that you keep making the same self-sabotaging choices. While you consciously intend to stop binging on sugar or gambling, yelling at your kids, or spending hours glued to your devices, you find yourself continuing to engage in the same self-limiting behavior. In other words, your conscious mind says, hey, I'm not going to do this anymore. And your subconscious continues to drive you in that direction, to have you automatically pick up that device, even when you've said to yourself, I'm not going to do that anymore. To reach for the candy bar, even when you said to yourself, I am going to greatly reduce my consumption of sugar. So it seems kind of strange when this happens. It feels like you are of two minds, and indeed you are, just like the rest of us. You have your conscious mind, and then you have your subconscious, which is operating with this program that was installed in your very early years based upon most often some very false assumptions made by your younger self. For example, the child observes mom and dad fighting and concludes this is because I'm not good enough, which couldn't be farther from the truth. The second indicator that your subconscious operating system is in need of an upgrade is that you repeatedly attract the same kinds of unwanted situations in your life without meaning to do so. For example, maybe trust and honesty are key for you in relationships, and you tell yourself, I am only going to choose to be with someone who will be loyal and true and honest with me 100% of the time. Yet, you subconsciously choose one partner after another who is unfaithful. Or maybe you're trying to save money and you're very determined to save, and you work hard and your bank account is finally filling up a little bit, and along comes another unexpected expense that wipes it out. And this happens again and again and again, despite everything you do to try to build that bank account. Patterns like these are definite signs that your subconscious default mode settings are keeping you stuck and in a lower vibration. When there's a discrepancy between the conscious and the subconscious, most often the subconscious wins out. The third indicator is that you find certain situations trigger automatic, extreme, out of control emotional reactions. It feels as if you go on autopilot and have little or no control over the way you feel or behave once those buttons have been pushed. You tremble with fear at the thought of asserting yourself with a coworker who has taken credit for your work. You're consumed with jealousy when your partner smiles at a total stranger. You're filled with rage when an acquaintance belittles you. Again, it's normal to react perhaps in some of these situations, but your reactions, you find, go way beyond what would be considered normal and expected, and perhaps they linger with you. Perhaps you continue to ruminate or obsess about these events and how you feel about them. Your head may be telling you, this reaction is over the top here, but you can't stop yourself from overreacting with fear, anger, shame, sadness, or another strong emotion. Once again, another sign that your subconscious default mode settings pertaining to your emotional reactions could use some tweaking. I want to remind you as I go through this list that all of these behaviors are entirely normal. In fact, it's very rare to meet somebody who doesn't experience one or more of these behaviors now and then. So please don't berate yourself, beat yourself up if you recognize yourself in one or all of these 5 indicators. The good news is recognition, awareness is the first step to creating change. And I believe strongly and have seen that we can reprogram our subconscious operating system. And in our next installment of the Abundance Zone next week, I will be telling you exactly how you may go about doing that, giving you some tips and tools for doing so. So let's move on to the fourth indicator that your subconscious operating system is in need of upgrading to something newer and more in alignment with who you are today. And this indicator is that you judge yourself harshly and tend to focus on what you believe to be your flaws and limitations. You live your life based upon the notion that this negative self-image is completely accurate and true. Now remember, this negative self-image was created by a 2, 3, 4, or 5-year-old based on what other people said or based upon false conclusions that this little self came to when other people treated them in certain ways. So be aware that because you believe it doesn't make it true. For example, you may falsely judge yourself to be unattractive, inferior, weak, stupid, a failure, greedy, lazy, selfish, a quitter, unlovable, a disappointment, damaged goods, or just plain bad. Those are just a few of the ways we might judge ourselves. And because you're judging yourself in this way does not mean it's true. It just means you have some false ideas about yourself. But when we are under the influence of our subconscious programming, it feels very real and true. And what other people try to tell you to convince you otherwise falls on deaf ears. In other words, you're just not open to considering an alternative way of viewing yourself. This is typical when we have these kinds of thoughts programmed into our subconscious. Furthermore, when you believe something about yourself really strongly, when you believe something about other people or life is going to reflect that back to you because it's a part of your vibration, and you always attract what you vibrate. So if you believe you're a failure, life is going to bring you people and situations and events that mirror the fact that you think that you're a failure. So you're going to have other people seeing you as a failure, or you're going to experience what you believe to be failures in certain situations. This doesn't mean you're actually a failure. It just means you have a false belief that you're a failure. Changing that belief changes your vibration, lifts your vibration, puts you more in the abundance zone, and changes everything. Begins to change what the universe mirrors back to you. Begins to change what you're experiencing, the choices you make, what people tell you, what you see in yourself. Everything changes when you change that programming. So don't despair if these descriptors are some of the ways that you have judged yourself harshly. Just be open to the possibility that change can happen. Let's talk now about the fifth indicator. As children, it's common for us to adopt certain behavior patterns in order to receive love or acceptance, or to survive challenging circumstances. These too become part of our subconscious programming. As we evolve, grow older, we often come to realize that these patterns are more harming than helping us. For example, your drive for achievement has begun to significantly erode your physical health and impair your quality of life. Your belief that you are responsible for everyone else's happiness has resulted in chronic pain, exhaustion, and depression as you try to do the impossible, and that is keep everyone happy. Your inability to trust other people has left you sad and lonely. Again, these are just a few examples of what happens to some people some of the time. Your fear of displeasing others has left you miserable, confused about who you are and what you really want. Your tendency to avoid unpleasant emotions has resulted in others perceiving you as cold and lacking in compassion. Your fear of making mistakes has left you bored, uninspired, and unwilling to grow and try new things. Your unwillingness to set boundaries and say no has made you resentful and exhausted. Again, just a few examples of some of the ways that we get stuck in patterns that were established very early in our lives and that no longer serve us. But it's human nature to continue to follow these patterns, and sometimes we do this to the extreme until in our lives we begin to experience suffering as a result of these patterns and become consciously aware of them. Many of these things are beyond our conscious awareness while we're doing them. We're so accustomed to doing them that we don't even notice that we're doing them anymore. We don't even back off and look at the big picture and see the pattern. It's kind of a form of self-hypnosis. We just continue the automatic behavior, whatever it might be, again and again and again, ultimately sometimes to our own detriment. If you can relate to any of these 5 indicators, that's great. As I said earlier, awareness is the very first step towards creating positive change for yourself. Each of these indicators points to the need to upgrade your subconscious programming so it can better assist you in creating a balanced, fulfilling, and joyful life. I want you to know that you can do this. You can install new software in your subconscious and make it much more possible for yourself to enjoy more love, more peace, more success, more upliftment, more freedom, and more vibrant well-being. Tune in to the next installment of the Abundance Zone and learn exactly how you can upgrade your operating system and transform your life. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.